Let's go for it. So did you guys have fun tonight?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, excellent.
Why? What was so good about it?
Good atmosphere. Excellent atmosphere.
Was it good music?
Music's always good from Fantasia.
Is Fantasia the best?
Yeah. Definitely.
Are you guys gonna stop ever? Or are you gonna keep dancing forever?
And keep dancing forever, me. Well, at least till I remember where I put my car.
You don't stop. Rock the rhythm that'll make your body rock. Rock, rock. Rock, rock. Rock, rock.
It depends on if they're a raver or not. So if they don't like nightclubs or they don't go raving or whatever, you always get that funny look.
Almost like their face drops and they're just like, oh, is that your kind of thing?
They get a bit confused, a bit disassociated with what it actually entails.
Apart from the fact that they always on my guest list.
It's about playing the music for the people on the dance floor.
In 1979, Thatcher became Prime Minister, and coincidentally, that's when the rise of youth culture was happening. People were wanting like a revolution, really. So then after like punk and goths happened, the rise of raving began.
It started with happy hardcore, drum and bass, jungle. Then it sort of went into trance as it progressed, and then I started to get to know about like Radio 1 Pete Tong, Seb Fontaine's Judge Jules, and we would follow these guys around the country.
Everybody just wanted to be equal. Everyone wanted the same as everyone else, just like love, peace, hope.
And then there was the illegal raves as well in that time, which seemed a lot safer than these days because nobody brought knives, nobody brought bats. You know, the only thing you brought was a bag of pills. You used to have to go to a phone box in the middle of a village and just wait for it to ring, and there'd be 20 cars waiting there. And then you'd get an address to go to another phone box, and then to another phone, and then people would be watching them, and if they saw any police, then you'd get the wrong address to go to, and then you'd end up at some farm at like 3 a.m. in a barn, and it's just amazing times, things that I'll never forget.
So the Criminal Justice Act was made in 1994, and this happened because the government wanted to clamp down on unlicensed raves because they just didn't like the thought of like repetitive loud noises were happening around.
The one thing that we always used to do was when we did an illegal rave, we always had security, we always had first aid. Safety first, it was all secure, it was locked up, it was ticketed.
And then after the 90s, you didn't really see much of a subculture happen. It was more like reality TV, technology was rising.
I think social media has had such an impact because now you can get broken as an artist overnight from one track. So for example, say somebody like Marco Corona or Jamie Jones plays a track. For example, Joyce, Roberto Sarace's Joyce, Marco Corona played it once in Ibiza and it was the #1 record on Beatport. Like it was the most wanted track for like a year. It's just social media, unfortunately now, has its good and bad sides, but it is key to being an artist as well.
For me, social media is great for promotion. It's made my life a lot easier instead of having to stand outside clubs flying at 4 o'clock in the morning.
There's a lot of artists that shouldn't really be there because they are famous for Instagram, for having many followers, but they are not being followed because of their music.
I think a lot more people are going to raves just for the Instagram post now. I try and stay off my phone as much as possible and actually engage with the crowd.
It's obviously changed in a lot of ways, but the core values of enjoying music, being around people, being together, feeling as one, a community, is still there. There was just obviously no phones then.
I had a birthday party. We were meant to do it in my friend's villa. And my friend 2 days before the party said, "Oh, Marcelina, I'm really sorry, we cannot do this in my villa because my mom's boyfriend is coming." So I said, "Don't worry, Anya, I'm going to find a place." So we were looking for a perfect villa and we had to find a villa that has no neighbors because we didn't want any trouble. So my boyfriend was like, why don't we just generator and do it on the beach? So guys, we did it on the beach. We only did a few posts on Instagram, and there was like 600 people that arrived.
I went to a rave in an abandoned bus station with, I would say about 200 people were there, and I would say I was the youngest person there. It was more older people, I would say 40s, and it was just more like everyone just more like let go. It wasn't like what you were wearing, what you look like. People just speak to you through their souls.
I was playing in Bahrain for Cream at the time, and some guy who owned a little island off Bahrain was at the party, and he said, "Can you stay an extra day? Can you come and play on my island?" I thought, sure, why not? You know, I'll change your flight. So he paid for my flight change. I ended up staying, picked me up on this 70-metre speedboat or something, unbelievable, 5 miles out at sea. Then there's this tiny little island, probably, you know, the size of this room, with a DJ booth in the middle of it and a bar. Then all the boats pulled round it, and then speakers connected up to. So what you were playing was playing on speaker on the boats. That's probably one thing I'll never forget in my life.
The first thing people think about now with rave is like the commercialized raves, like Printworks, 338. So this is more like tech house.
Now it's definitely gone down that sort of minimal route, where Highlight is Fuse. You know, that sound has been around for over 10 years, but it's really started to come through into the mainstream side of it now.
For me, it's cycles. You know, I still play stuff from the 80s now that sounds fresher than some of the stuff that the kids are producing nowadays. Beatha, that is definitely something that's changed from being probably a very cool, hedonistic, you know, all about the love. That's how it started with Pasha many 30, 40 years ago. To now, it's very much a champagne culture, you know, which I think has spoiled it.
So my journey started in Ibiza, where I used to live. It was a very, very nice experience. And then I moved to London, where I was introduced to the underground scene, and I absolutely fell in love with it. I remember the first rave that I arrived, I was like, what is this music? I've never heard this before.
As we all know, the rave culture is since the 80s very strongly being associated with drugs.
For people who don't actually understand what raving is, they can definitely just assume that it's full of drugs, but it's not. It's more about the actual experience itself.
I mean, I think as a promoter, you are kind of like an authority to the ravers. And for me, it's very important not to overdo my body. So, like, I don't like parties that go forever. I don't really do after parties.
We've got a first aid team always that know exactly what they're doing on these events. They're doing it week in, week out. They know what the drugs are. They know what the reactions are and how to fix them. So we are confident, and touch wood, we've never had anything really serious at any of our events.
It's a love for the music. There's levels to it, and it's so much more deeper than just going to an event to get messed up.
You don't have to do drugs to go raving.
There's nothing like it. Like, I've got friends that are for a life from all over the globe now because of music, and you're all the same on a dance floor. There's no like stigmatism of race, gender, like sexuality. It all goes out the window. As long as you're on a dance floor like and unified, it's just the best thing in the world being part of that community.
Because you can do whatever you want. You don't have to hide yourself. You can be whoever you want. No one is going to judge you.
It's not comparable. It's just a different level, and people were there. Everyone's on the same wavelength, and we all just want to have a good time. And when you're all there in the same moment, at the same vibe, it's just a feeling you can't beat.
It hits my whole like soul inside, like my heart, like it just like pumps out of my whole chest.
Just seeing all the people being so happy and screaming, and knowing that I'm giving them opportunity to properly relax and forget about everything that is happening right now.
We start with the latest evidence of the economic damage across the UK caused by the effects of the pandemic. In the past 2 days alone, some 12,000 job losses have been announced.
There's no denying that the lockdown is saving lives, but behind closed doors, up and down the country, people are struggling to cope.
It is a troubling new reality, isn't it? The things that bind us, parties, gatherings, they've become illegal.
Well, I mean, it's an absolute joke, isn't it, really? The government have implemented these rules that's killing the scene, it's killing businesses, it's killing my friends, you know. Literally, somebody hung themselves that I know last week because they were so depressed in this situation.
I don't really believe in COVID-19 as in threat to the human. It is a real disease, but the percentage where you can actually die from it is just like 2%, and I believe it is used as a political tool to control people.
I think what they're doing in the industry is absolutely suicide. I think they're trying to destroy it. I don't think they care about work. I think they're going through with an agenda that is pre-planned, and they've got no idea. The science is proven otherwise, and they're still going through with it.
It's a release, and without it, you know, people struggle to do their 9 to 5, and it's more than just going out on a Friday, Saturday night. It's seeing people that you would never see on the other side.
I know because the people are suffering with their mental health. There's suicides left, right, and centre from people not having music in their life.
People don't realise how much it means to us to socialise and let our problems go. The world is full of fucking problems all the time. This is added to it. Suicides now killing more than COVID. And we use partying and socialising to get away from that shit.
I think it's great that we're going back to our natural roots with illegal raves. I think it just gives us a chance to really like jump back in time to see how people in the 90s really did rave. I think it's a very, very good thing that COVID-19 is happening right now, because we're seeing like the stuff like brewing underneath everything, like the really, really negative, bad stuff that's happening right now.
People don't realise that like raving, partying is so good for the youth's mental health, because like in that 2008 crash, it was like when Thatcher in the 90s, the world's going to shit, you're going to pay £10, get a bottle of water or a pill or whatever, and you're dancing chucks up in it like, we're social animals, you know what I mean? We need to be, listen to music, like, it's tribal, and we're cutting it off.
We as music lovers, as a nation, need to show the government how much we care about preserving this amazing industry for future generations. So I think, you know, that's the big worry. You know, we love music. We all depend on it every day for happiness, for our own mental health, and we need to make sure that our children's children can have the same thing. Going to a rave, going to a festival, you know, it's something we just can't take for granted. You know, music doesn't just fall out the sky. You know, these people haven't had an income for 7 months, and you know, it's only a matter of time before you know, they're going to have to go and look elsewhere for jobs.
I don't want to go and be a lifeguard, which is what the online thing told me I needed to be. I don't want to do that. A lifeguard or a judge is what I got when I said I wanted a creative job. I don't want to do that. I followed my dreams for a reason, and I haven't put 7 years into such graft for it all to be taken away.
Now, I think a lot of people are opening their eyes, and even myself, I was scared at first. I remember when the thing first happened, I cancelled 2 of my gigs, and because I didn't want to cause any more trouble.
We're doing everything we can to keep the scene alive, and that's all that matters. But the way that things are going, it's only going to go further underground.
Unless it changes very soon, there is going to be venues that are going to be shutting down. There's going to be no nightclubs. There's going to be no arts as such.
Take a look at it rigorously and say, look, how much of an effect does this have on the hospitality sector?
Maybe he can reconsider taking another job.
Sort it out, Boris. This is not a money-making scheme for the Tories that you're doing. You're ruining lives, you're killing people. Just stop it.
Boris, just help us. Like, come to a party, even a social distance one, and just feel the vibe.